Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Susie Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about a no-shame approach to money and finances and getting excited about spreadsheets, analyzing data, and creating systems. Today, you're going to be meeting Heather Zeitzwolfe, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who's a CPA who really likes helping midlife female solopreneurs get a handle on their numbers and bring more fun and clarity. More fun and clarity, fun to the financials. I can't even imagine that. Heather, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am serious. I can't imagine, but you are fun. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say. We're going to be having a great conversation about your midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also what midlife issues may have been getting in your way, might be getting in your way now to some extent, and might be a little challenging for you in your life. And as, probably as a business owner too. That's how it is for me. So let's get started. How old are you? How long have you been an entrepreneur? What was your journey like? And what it is that you do in the world? Tell us everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is a loaded question, but I am ready for it. Okay. Let's start with the beginning. What age am I? Well, I was born in 1968. My birthday's in October, so I'm currently 55 years old. I can't even believe it. 55. That seemed so old when I was a kid, but now it does not seem old at all. It feels like things are just getting started for me. Actually, my 50s have been probably the most fun years of my life, crazy as that sounds, but I have really kind of stepped into who I am and being able to become an entrepreneur. So I started my entrepreneurial journey in my 50s. I went back to school in my 40s to study accounting and got my CPA license in America. So I live in America. But before all of that, I was a kid that grew up with a mom that taught at a dancing school. She was also a clown with my sister, who was 10 years older than me. They were hokey and pokey. And my sister thought it was very uncool to be a clown. And I was like, I want to be in the act. So that was actually my first sort of parlay into entrepreneurship, because we used to perform at parties and do all that kind of stuff. And so I was a clown, and I still have that in me. You can't see me, but I've got colorful dreads, so you can't take the clown out of me. So I went into theater and I studied fashion design. So my first degree was in fashion design. I worked in New York and the fashion industry. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, but I discovered business because I thought fashion was about art, but really the fashion industry is all about business. It's all about the bottom line, making money. So then I went back to school and studied business, and I thought advertising would be the most creative part of business. Found that advertising was kind of unethical in some ways. Like, it just felt slimy. And this was before the age of the internet really came into play. So it was a different world of advertising. It was more of those kind of sleazy commercials and on television, and the ones in the magazines, that's kind of sexist and all that kind of stuff. But I discovered I loved market research. And so I worked in market research for many, many years. So I have this like weird analytical side and then this very creative side. So although when I went back to school to study accounting, my family was like, what the heck are you doing? I was like, I love this stuff. And I always loved, the first time I discovered what a spreadsheet was, it blew my mind. I was like, you can put all this information in these squares and then you can put a formula in there. How cool is that? So to me, it all kind of made sense. I love this stuff. And so I have to always be sort of straddling that creative side and that analytical side. But I'm a Libra, so it makes sense. I think I answered your questions. Didn't I answer your questions?
Yeah, totally. It's really It's interesting because when you're describing your artistic and creative past, it seems like the last thing in the world you would want to become is a CPA. It really does seem completely different because I'm creative too. And I know one time I asked my bookkeeper, who's also an accountant, I was just like, wow, you like your job, right? She goes, I love it. Like, wow. She was like solving puzzle. She
That's
just
exactly it. Oh my God. Yes, exactly. And I love puzzles.
It's so interesting because I figured she loved her job, but I just can't imagine it because for me, ooh, I don't have that feeling about it at all. So in your notes, you talk about bringing the fun to financials. What does that mean? How does that happen in your work?
Yeah. Well, all the time when I meet with this happens so often when I meet a person for the first time, when they come in for like a discovery meeting or a meet and greet kind of thing, they are so stressed out about what's going on with their finances. Either they've not looked at them, they're not tracking them, or they've got stuff in maybe Wave or some kind of bookkeeping software, but they don't know what the heck is going on, or they're so afraid of, in America, we have the IRS, and there actually is a phobia for people that are afraid of taxes. And so they have all this fear and anxiety when they come to talk to me. And I love this at the end of the meeting, they say, oh my God, you made me feel so much better. I was so stressed out and now I feel calm and okay with what's going on. So I know this stuff is difficult to understand. There's so many rules and laws and everything's changing. And then a lot of people get into entrepreneurship because they have a passion for something, but that passion may not be numbers. It could be something creative. And I work with a lot of creatives. So they're thinking about the creative side of things. They're not thinking about, oh my God, like what happens when you hook up PayPal, like what's happening on the back end and how are you taking these payments and what's going on with taxes and do I need to send in my estimates? So like all these things that come about. And then maybe they need to take on a contractor or payroll, like, and then they got to file these forms, like these things that they never thought was going to happen to them.
It's magical and confusing.
Yes, exactly. So I try to make it as fun as possible so that they are not stressed out. So when I explain things, I try to use simple speak and try not to use all the lingo if I can. Sometimes there's no way around it. There's one word for something and I have to use it. But but if I can, I try to take away all of that jargon and I have this no shame approach. So what that means is I tell people there are no stupid questions. Like I think people should be able to just ask questions and not feel judged or feel ashamed, like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I should know these things. Like, there's a lot to know. Like, we're not all going to know the same things. We're here to learn from one another. And as an entrepreneur, we're always constantly learning. And I call us chemist, or, we're like in a lab and we're testing things out because we don't always know what's going to work.
No.
So, yeah, and I worked in market research, so I know it's like even the big giant companies, they have to do the research as well. So us little guys, we got to do it too. So there's just a lot of things. So I have this approach where I want to keep it fun. So if you do a workshop with me, I might pull in some props and some fun, and like I do this one thing where the I don't know if you remember, there was Tim Buck 3 was had a song called "The Future So Bright You Gotta Wear Shades," and so I do this one workshop thing where I have people all get funky shades, and then we get up and we talk, and like I just try to make it more fun. Like put aside all the weirdness and the shame, and just let's have fun with it.
Oh, I hate to say that I love you identified shame, but I appreciate that you identified shame because certainly feeling stupid about this topic has brought me to tears. Like I have cried until I got the right help, and it was such an enormous relief, and I did start to feel competent because I was smart enough to hire the right person.
I will tell you that sometimes I feel like a therapist. People do cry when they first are, when we first communicate, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it," and they'll be like, I'm ready to put on my big girl pants," and I hear all these like sad stories, and Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that I love, being able to change people's lives around and make. I mean, I've worked with people where like their marriage was on the brink of destruction. You know, they owed back taxes, they had credit card debt, and then I helped them, you know, iron all that stuff out. I mean, how great is that? And now they're still married, and it's wonderful. I mean, I think for the most part, entrepreneurs, especially ladies, we get into business because we want to help people. We have
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
We want to be of service. And so that to me is just, I love that. That's like the big payoff when people, you change their lives.
I love what you're doing and the way you're doing it. Certainly, I mean, I'm sure if you're listening right now, you're thinking, she doesn't sound like an accountant.
Well, and then a lot of people will tell me, I was so afraid to ask my other accountant these questions. And accountants are not bad people, but they might be more introverted than I am. They may be, by the book, or maybe that's just the stereotype that they have. But I think because I look so different, people feel more comfortable. And I thought that I had to be that stereotype when I first started. When I first started my business, I thought, okay, I got to put on the suit and everything when I meet clients so that they could take me seriously. But it wasn't until I really stepped into my authentic nature that I really started attracting the right client.
Oh man, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Like, I honestly, that same thing happened to me. And with me, it was reading iTunes reviews for my original podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, people love when I'm silly and upbeat, and it's helping them access what they need to know about all this difficult stuff that's going on in midlife. It didn't occur to me because in corporate, in a more, I'm putting quotes, the professional, typical type of setting in an office building, my silliness and being small, under 5 foot, like I got a little, I just can't do that. I can't let that freak flag fly because I won't be taken seriously. A little girl who's silly and laughs. It just wasn't, I didn't feel comfortable letting that out. And it took me some time until I started to see those iTunes reviews that really in the entrepreneurial space, it's really okay. In fact, it's preferred because it differentiates you and you can really find the people who are a great match for how you can help them.
Yeah. And especially, the first time I meet people, maybe I don't know if they've heard my podcast or they've seen some of my videos, or maybe, I ask them where they come from when they fill out the form to talk to me. Sometimes it just says Google. So I have no idea. Do they know that they're going to get on a Zoom call with somebody that looks like me, pink hair and all of that? But then I think to myself, well, if they don't like it, then they're not my people. So, and really, I work with people that are very open-minded, creative people. And I have tried in the past to, like I said in the beginning, to work with people that weren't really my kind of people. And I don't, there's nothing against anybody. It's just that some people just connect better. And I tried to make that work in the past, and that just, it didn't feel good. And I was like, I came to the realization where I was like, wait a minute, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not working for somebody else. I can decide who I want to work with. That's the whole thing. When you work for somebody, it's like they bring on lousy clients. You're stuck working with those lousy clients. But now I make the decision. I mean, how cool is that? That's like one of the best things about being an entrepreneur is you can decide who you work with.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay, so one of the things that got me so excited about creating this podcast is the ability to focus on the reality, that really what the heck is going on with running a business when you're over 50, because there's a lot of things that can get in the way. There are a lot of challenges that can affect the way you want to show up in your business. Sometimes you just can't at that time. So there are so many things. What has come up for you that you navigate?
Well, so my parents had me late in life, at least back when in the 68, it was considered late in life. So my mom had me when she was 42. I never had any kids. So I wasn't like I wasn't the sandwich thing where I'm dealing with kids and an aging parent. But first my dad passed away, and I was helping him. And that was right before I went back to school to study accounting. And then when I started my business, my mom got really sick, and we're like, we're not going to put her in a home. We want her to be able to live in her house. And so we took turns, my siblings. I have a sister and a brother out here as well. My mom moved out here, and we would take turns. Well, I would go over there and maybe I would be there for 2-3 days at a time overnight, trying to have a job, like do my business, be online. One, I need a lot of computer, like I need monitors. Like I'm using a laptop, and then sometimes I would be using my iPad as a second monitor. Like that in itself was already is a challenge. Yeah. But then my mom would be in the background, like ding, 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 ringing a bell. And then, she'd be on medication. Then she was in hospice and she was on morphine and like seeing things and passing out. And I mean, there was so much. And I was trying to have a weekly podcast, help my clients, meet with people. And that was such a huge challenge. But at the same time, I was able to spend time with my mom. And if I had been working a regular job, I would not have been able to do that. So that in itself was a blessing that I was able to, hey, we live in this virtual world where I could actually pick up my laptop and go to my mom's house and work and be there overnight. And so again, I was thankful I was an entrepreneur at that time that I could do that. But at the same time, it really kind of ate into my time where I could spend with clients and all that. So that was a challenge. Then, oh my God, hot flashes and dealing with night sweats. And then right now I'm finally on a hormonal patch. But before that, life was just like, oh, up and down. And I got to the point where I just was thinking like, this is life, until I got on this hormone patch. And then I was like, holy cow, I forgot what it felt like to be normal. And so all of this is happening.
when you were in the throes of that, how did you manage your business? Did you start later in the day? Did you adjust your hours? Did you take a nap? Like, how did you cope with that?
I'm not a nap person, and I do still have trouble with sleep and everything. But yes, I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. I'm not a good morning person. It's funny. My mom was always a night person and I was always the morning person. Like I'd get up bright and early, like ready to take on the day. And now I'm oftentimes like up till like 2:00 in the morning because I get like this second wind, just like my mom used to when she was my age. And then creativity sparks. Like a lot of people say like, oh, I'm most creative in the morning. No, I'm mostly drinking my coffee and getting ready and hanging out with my cat and trying to get things, putting my makeup on and doing all that. My creative spark sometimes happens at 4:00 in the afternoon. You just never know. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, this middle age is can be weird at times. But yes, the patch has really helped me, and the night sweats have finally subsided mostly. So that was just terrible. I mean, I was miserable all the time.
Yeah, that sounds really hard. And you made mention in your notes about you had this fear of driving. Tell me about that.
So back when I was a teenager, that was when kids they wanted freedom. They did not want to live in a parent's house. They wanted to drive. I know now a lot of kids, their parents still drive them around. They want to live with their parents, but it was a different time back then. And I had no interest in driving, and having older parents, they weren't the best drivers. Like my dad had bad eyesight. My mom was always fearful. And so I didn't have like good role models when it came to that. But my mom forced me to take driver's ed in high school. And so I saw those movies. And back then it was all about the drunk driving videos. Like, oh my God. And I saw these cars getting crushed. And I'm like, why would I want to be out on the road? So that like put living fear into me. Jump forward years, like I always rode public transportation, rode a bike, walked everywhere. And then 2010, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to drive. I went to the local college and took a course, one of those driving courses. And all of the other people in the room were teenagers with their parents for the first day that were my age. All the parents were my age. And they thought I was a parent or something. And so in this class, instead of the drunk driving videos, oh no, they showed us films about texting and driving. Now I had this new fear of like, oh my God, everybody is out there on the road texting while they're driving. It was terrible. I did kind of learn, and I had my learner's permit since 2010. The written thing, that's what we have in America. But I never took the actual driving test. And my husband had some medical issues. He couldn't drive. And I was like, okay, I have to step it up and actually learn. So I would drive his Prius around sometimes, but it wasn't like I was forced to do it. Anyways, my brother, he took me out driving. I finally got my license. like the actual license at 54. And then he's like, you gonna start driving now? And I'm like, and then I got myself a car and I was like, okay, I've got to get my own car so that way I feel like this is mine. I'll pay for it and then I will drive it. If it's not mine, I'm never going to touch it. So I bought a brand new car, which a lot of people are like, you're an accountant, you bought a brand new car. But I was like, I want the safest thing ever. I got a Subaru, paid for it in full and drove it. Now, I have not put that many miles on it, but I drive to Costco by myself. And the first time I did that, Susie, you wouldn't believe it. I was in Costco walking around. I'm like, this is the first time I've ever been to Costco where I'm by myself.
Wow.
Like, that was like, I had always gone with somebody else. That was like, 54 years old going to Costco for the first time by myself. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but it's
it doesn't sound stupid.
It was like triumphant. I was like, I can spend as long as I want looking at this section of the food or looking over here at the clothes. I can look at the yoga pants for as long as I want because I'm here by myself.
I love it. I love it. And the other thing that you mentioned in your notes is kind of a reverse of something I hear a lot in midlife, where a lot of people talk about not having the type of friendships that they always wanted to have in midlife because of a lot of reasons. And you noted that you have tons of great friends now, but you didn't before. So tell us a little bit about how being in midlife and being an entrepreneur has helped you in this area of your life.
Oh my God. I was one of these people who never really, I mean, I had a lot of acquaintances. I know a lot of people. I do theater and Toastmasters, and I've been in tons of groups. So I know lots and lots of people. We all get along, but I didn't really feel like that really closeness. Even like when I got married, I was like, who's going to be my bridesmaid, like my sister? Like I didn't have like really tight girlfriends. I always knew like men. I had friends that were male friends, but not really like that really close girlfriend vibe. And you know what it was, is I always felt like women were in competition or something. There was like that really competitive pettiness or something. And one thing that changed though is the internet. So we had in the beginning, it was like Friendster and MySpace and those types of things. And you could branch out and meet people in ways that you weren't able to before, where you could be like, I'm interested in this. And I am too. We live in the same town. Let's get together. Because otherwise, where do you meet people? Work? I mean, you don't always work with people that you want to be long-term friends with, besides acquaintances or something. So that opened up things, right? Just the internet itself. And then getting into podcasting and being an entrepreneur, I started networking and meeting like-minded people, and we're kind of going through the same struggles. We're trying to have a business. We're doing this around the same age. And this just opened up like a whole world of women to me, especially going to women's networking things, where I'm like, wow, I finally have these girlfriends, these like sisterhood that I never had before, except for with my own sister. I mean, it's just amazing. So I have more friends now than I ever had. And
I agree, Heather. Yeah. It's so bizarre. It was something that I didn't expect. In fact, when I worked 27 years in a JOB or a variety of JOBs. And I remember seeing a friend of mine, a colleague, who was always focusing on networking when there were listservs back in the 90s. Oh, yeah. Right? No, that wasn't the 90s. Yeah, it was the 90s and early 2000s. And she was always focused on that and doing all this stuff. And I was always like, why are you doing that? Because I didn't feel that in corporate we needed it as much, because I guess my mindset was, I'm going to keep this job for a long time. And I did. So I wasn't using networking for career advancement, but it's been such a welcome surprise at all of the new people and interesting people and like-minded people and supportive people and fun people. And so much so that when I'm in a new group, I pick somebody just in my own mind and I'm like, oh my God, she makes me laugh. Everything she says, I agree with, or something like that. I'm going to make an effort. She doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to stalk her and she's going to become my friend. So I've done that a few times where I just, I was interested in developing a friendship with somebody, And I just invited them to a call. I invited them to a call because I wanted to get to know them. And it wasn't about an ask or anything. It was just like, I think I work at home by myself. I need to meet some people. And it's been so much fun from a networking perspective and just from developing new friends in my 50s. And now I'm in my 60s. So it's so different to me and such a welcome pleasure.
Yeah. And, with the internet, uh, it opens up all these possibilities. So now I have friends all over the country. And what's really fun is going to that, like I might be at a conference and then they're in that same town and then I get to meet them in person, or I
Yes,
meet them at a conference. And it's so amazing because we know each other through these Zoom spaces where we're only seeing a little bit of each other. It's like, I didn't realize you were so tall. I didn't realize you were so short. It's because I'm little too, and it's like I'm always like looking up at these people like I had no idea you were so tall.
exactly.
But it's been great. And then we make some videos together in person, and it's so much fun to meet these people in real life that and podcasting, I have to say I've met the best people from podcasting. It has like opened up a whole new world. And where, like I was talking before, like women in the past have been like competitive with each other, and I'm not trying to be a stereotype or anything, but it just, and I think what it is like in the corporate world, women have to struggle so much to get ahead that they have to kind of be competitive with each other because the men are always at the top, or at least that's always how it's kind of been. And so they have to kind of compete with the other women to be seen, to be taken seriously or whatever. And but in this entrepreneurship world, we're more supportive of each other. It feels like to me, even if we're doing the same kind of thing, because we're not always doing it exactly the same. And we may not have the exact audience. So it's not like we're trying to like do something for this one boss. But in the podcasting world, everyone's super supportive. You meet all kinds of creative people.
Yes.
It's just been the best.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it too. That's awesome. So, what would you say when you think about being an older woman and being in the space that you're in, an online attachment to your traditional type of job? What like how has it come up for you to be older, to be at this part of your career trajectory?
Ooh, how does it be like to be older? I think it's
Notice I
really
didn't say older, because you are,
older.
I am older,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, so I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I also had this sense of like, okay, well, I have to make this much money. How the heck am I going to do that to support myself to pay this? There was always logic that got in the way. Like I may be creative, but I also know like how many of these things you got to sell to make some money. So there was always that dichotomy there that I was kind of, I wanted to do it, but I was afraid. And in my 50s, I was like, at the beginning of my 50s, I was like, not liking the people I was working with and feeling trapped and feeling like I was being held back. And there was things I wanted to do and training that I wanted to have and adventures that I wanted to have and freedom. And I thought, if I don't do this now, when am I going to do this? And I was actually lucky. I was in this position where I was on unemployment, and I was able to apply for a program where they gave me money, my unemployment money, while I started a business. And
Wow.
this was super because then it kind of took the pressure off for me. And I had to come up with a business plan, and I had to do like research and all these things. And it gave me that almost like a safety net of being able to start a business on my own. And I was able to make money, and they still gave me the unemployment checks. But that's a great program. And it also allowed me to like go to these different courses, take these classes. Even though I have 2 business degrees, it's like it was great because it was networking with people in the community that are entrepreneurs and all of that. So it's never too late. And if you don't have a safety net like I had, save up some money. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, start it as a side hustle while you still got the 9 to 5 going, and see if it's going to work. But take, it is a risk, but
Yeah.
if you want to do it, I would do it.
Yeah,
But
you don't want to have regrets. So what
right.
is next for you in your business? What do you want next?
Well, I always am coming up with ideas because I have creative creative idea syndrome. I have to always keep myself reeled in. So there's a couple of things. I'm a vegan, and that is a very important part of who I am, part of my identity. And I do work with non-vegans as long as they do things that are ethical. But I definitely want to step more into some sort of vegan, supporting vegan businesses. There might be some changes in my podcast. I also want to talk more about financial budgets and things like that, but in a way that is not icky for people, because budgets sound like a diet and I don't want to go down that route, but being more frugal, because I have found that people like to learn from people who have done things in their life, and I know how to eat healthy and eat organic and vegan on a budget, because I do not like spending money. I am cheap. So I think there's something there that I'm going to help people with. So it'll be something around like that. So there's going to be some changes. But also on the flip side, I really love working with people one-on-one to discuss their business, because really the financial part of it, it's not just about looking at your financials, what's going on in your books, paying taxes. It's what the finances touch everything in business: pricing, sales, marketing, hiring people. I mean, every bit of your business. And what do you want as your life goals? What do you want this business to do for you? It's all part of the financial. So I want to help people look at the future and help them get to where they want to be with my creativity and also my knowledge of the financial side of things. So I want to do more of that. So I call that profit strategy, and I want to be able to do more of that with my clients.
Oh, yeah. Fun profit strategy if it's coming from you. So Heather, how can people best get in touch with you? Your approach is very different. It's so much fun to hear how you're looking at this. It's unique. How can we find you?
Thank you. So I am available at Zeitzwolfe Accounting, but that is a mouthful. And so I have an easier one. GetRadBiz.com is the website. And you can also find me on Instagram at GetRadBiz. So I'm saying rad like radical. GetRadBiz. Very 80s. It's very on brand for me. Like anything that's disco, 80s, glam, punk, all those things are all part of my brand.
Amazing. Well, for sure, we will have those links in the show notes. And I can't imagine somebody who is connecting with you won't want to get a hold of you. Heather, thank you so much for taking the time out from your busy day and sharing all of this good stuff. Like I said, I really appreciate your unique approach to bringing some fun and lightness to something that feels very heavy and dark, and you feel shame. You are right about the way a lot of people are experiencing it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We would love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It is never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Susie Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick, before we say goodbye, if you're connecting with this show because midlife challenges are also making it harder for you to run your business and your life the way you want to, I am thrilled we've connected here. If you're just not as happy and fulfilled as you'd hoped you'd be, I want to invite you to apply for the Women in the Middle Academy. It's my 12-month midlife coaching program and community where you'll have fun creating your path to getting unstuck, gaining clarity, and stepping into the life you've always wanted. If you're ready to stop waiting and start living, then the Women in the Middle Academy is where you are meant to be. Head over to www.womeninthemiddleacademy.com. Talk soon.